Hi, our guests today are Selectman Will Kingkade and Paul Mazzuchelli, who is the longtime health agent in Milford. Will is the outgoing mayor of Prospect Heights, and Paul is the incoming mayor later this month.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
So, Will, you represent the Irish contingent?
Yes.
And Paul, you're the Italian
Italian.
contingent, because I hear the Armenians passed this year.
Mm-hmm.
What was your service project, Will?
Well, when I came in, we had just finished a big project that the Portuguese delegation had done. So money was a little bit of a factor. So my first challenge, which Paul will come into it as well soon, that there's a lot of pressure to have your reunion, sell lots of tickets, which we did. We had a real successful event. So that gave us some money for the future, as well as for some projects.
That's the October event.
That's the October event. You know it well.
Well, there are traditions associated with being mayor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and God forbid you don't vary from those traditions.
Right, so for instance, that is your hat sitting on the table, and your hat is bare of what they call the scrambled eggs in the Navy.
Yes.
Which you will get after Paul is installed. You will get,
hopefully,
or before Paul is installed.
Before.
You would get if they deem that your project is approved and you've been a success.
Yes.
And then you also get a shirt that has the year you were mayor.
Yes.
So Paul, coming in, you get the bear hat, and you just get a polo shirt that says mayor.
Okay.
If you don't know all the traditions.
I did not know that.
The other tradition is on the day, July 19th, the Sunday of the Portuguese festival. Will's going to yell at me for this one. They're going to give you the Italian flag. The tradition is you have to let me hold the flag.
Yeah, right.
that I know.
No, you never let go of the flag. You never let go of the flag.
Right. Right. And the traditions is what I'm trying to learn now too. You know, that's why I'm glad I have Will here.
Yeah, Will will teach you. See,
And so far,
you're now my 9th or 10th year of doing this, so I've learned the traditions.
he's been a great help, and of course, the contingents of the Italian contingents with Alan Alves and Steve Galino.
Steve Galino.
And also,
Good group.
I believe there's a couple more that I haven't met really yet.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony, I've met. That's right.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah,
Because I'm getting a little mixed up because a lot of them have Portuguese last names, but they're the Italian rep.
The
You
wives.
know.
The wives are the parents.
Exactly. So I'm
Okay.
getting to know
And
the ropes
and you
that
grew up
way.
on Lee Street in the
I
Heights.
grew up on 19 Lee Street.
And you grew up in Prospect Heights itself.
I didn't grow up there. I lived there as an adult.
Oh, so that's
When
how
I
you
came home
got
from
it.
college, that's where we lived.
Okay, because I know you have to be there.
Yes.
So, Paul, the day I learned you were the mayor-elect, you were telling me something interesting about growing up in the Heights. You said family first? Why don't you repeat that?
Family first, and we were always told to, you know, the family's your first school, your first education classroom. You know, you're taught, you know, how to survive in life and what's right and what's wrong from your parents, and you learn it from your relatives. And your second family, where you have that bulk of education, is your neighborhood. You know, I think your personality develops somewhat in the family, but it tends to grow and develop into a whole nother.
So what did you learn from growing up in Prospect Heights?
Well, I learned that number one, family is first, and you can depend on neighbors. Back then, let's say I remember when my brother Steve had a rare blood disease, and he, Dr. Lukert at the time, and I remember Dr. Lukert, but he was our family physician, and when he saw Stephen, he sent him right to Deaconess Hospital in Boston. He thought it was leukemia, and he was in that hospital for 30 days, I remember.
Oh my God,
And at the time, I'm 4 or 5 years old, and my mom and dad had to stay with him quite often and sometimes sleep over. And neighbors actually came, Anna Rizzoli, the Bonies, the Toscases, they all came and more or less watched me. They picked me up at the bus stop from school. They had me stay over their house, and they more or less helped raise me until, you know, that time was past.
Okay.
I mean, and that's something that you see. I mean, and that you saw back then. If you were out doing a project and a neighbor had the time, he'd come and actually help you or have you borrow something. You know, I remember I remember one of my neighbors says, you know, don't forget where you got it and bring it back in case you want to borrow it again. You know, so these are the things that I learned from there. And to see like that greatest generation, like I was talking to you about, the older gents in that group who actually are taking the time to preserve a neighborhood that they were proud of. And they want to
when you think about it, most of these guys, the association dates back, what, 50, you're 55th
I'm the
mayor?
55th mayor.
55 years ago, most of these, I understand, were World War II vets who had kids of their own, trying to instill a sense of the neighborhood in them. And they started this tradition. So most of them would be, you know, in their mid to late 80s or early 90s now.
Right, right.
And they're still going strong.
And some of them are still going strong. And one of the things that I was surprised of, Will, the number slips me, but just in World War II alone, from that one neighborhood, what did you have? Some like 180 some odd, 188
huge number.
Individuals
Went off to war.
from that neighborhood actually served in World War II. From that one neighborhood, not from the town, but from that one neighborhood.
And we're talking, what, about 50, 60 homes in the area? I don't know how many, but
About 100.
Yeah.
about 100 when you count in the buildings and the heights and then the surrounding
the
streets.
surrounding outskirts.
That's an incredible amount
It's
from,
an
from a
incredible
small
amount.
neighborhood.
It certainly is.
I mean, and to me, that's amazing, you know, to have that much dedication and faith. And again, it's something too where at that time it was a chance for legal immigrants, you know, to come to the United States and, you know, go after their dream.
And a lot of them, if you look at the nationalities in the heights, a lot of them are going back to Europe, where their families came from, and fighting to free them. So
No, I mean, to me, I thought it was a great neighborhood, and it also the diversity part. People say, well, in today's day and age, you got to be diverse. You know, have that diverse mind because, you know, everybody was an immigrant. Everybody came here, and you got to get along with everybody. And in that neighborhood, that's where where we first learned how to be diverse for the simple
what are
reason.
the nationalities represented by the mayors?
There's Italian, there's
Irish.
Irish, there's Greek, there's Armenian,
Portuguese.
and there's Portuguese.
And Polish, yeah.
And Polish. So, I mean, you had that diversity already there. It wasn't like, let's say, hypothetically, or no, let's say realistically, the North End or even the Plain section, where it was mainly Italian, you know, or mainly one specific
And
nationality.
Paul, you do have the distinction. You were also a plainsman of the
I was
year.
Plainsman of the Year in
Yeah, that's a
2003.
first.
Yeah, that's for two neighborhoods.
He gets both.
Two neighborhoods.
And now you're going to be the mayor of Prospect Heights.
Whether they like it or not.
That's a pretty good
Going to
honor.
Mr. Lopes.
Will, what did you learn as a young adult in the Heights? You said when you came back from college.
Yep, that was my first, first home out of college, and then when Lisa and I got married, we just moved 4 units around the corner to the Prospect Street side. It was great. I mean, I loved it. First of all, we didn't live in an apartment where someone was above us or below us. We had a duplex. It was a great place to be. And quite honestly, the only reason we even moved out was
You had a
we
child.
thought we were going to have a bigger family.
Yeah.
Now we have a house that's a little too big, and I guess we probably should have just stayed up at the Heights. A little bit more convenient. But it was, again, that diversity was there. We were close to everything, even whether it was Halloween or Christmas. We met our neighbors, and it was just a real active community. And when I first moved up there and came home from college, that's when Ed Bertorelli and a couple of the other guys kind of said, "Oh, you're in the neighborhood. You're getting involved with the Mayor's Association." So one of the first projects that I got to help work on was when Squeakasaurs was mayor, and we built the whole playground. A whole group of us were literally in the ground, digging holes, doing everything, and putting together the swing sets and things of that nature. And it was just a lot of fun, and that built-in camaraderie. They work hard and they play hard, so it's a lot of fun.
And you're improving a neighborhood. It's not just you're improving your piece of land that you own that's going to increase the value, but they have, like Will was saying, and he did it too. He got his hands dirty, went into the dirt and started to dig and created something, and that improved a neighborhood. So it wasn't a selfish project. It was a project that everybody gained.
Speaking of projects, Paul, any idea yet? You've only had about a month to think about it, but any ideas yet?
I'm looking toward the senior members and asking them what the neighborhood would need. Will had a great project, and like I said, and I mentioned that to the mayors when I found out that I was elected as the 55th mayor. Will is going to be some tough shoes to fill, and I'm going to try to at least do my job as mayor plus. And again, I thought it was a privilege of being the mayor from this type of neighborhood, and I want to fulfill, my responsibilities and go above and beyond what I have to.
It's interesting to hear the stories because neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer that neighborhoods are the backbone of the country. Not that lone person out there, but neighborhoods. That's what happens. I grew up in a rural community where everybody knew everybody's neighbor, and we shared stuff. And although it was about a mile walk to my closest neighbor, but I mean everybody knew everybody. So that's the good news. The bad news is when you get in trouble. Everybody knows. Everybody knows, and oh, by the way, your son did this or he did that. So
and then they all listen for when you get your butt kicked.
Yes, that's right. Right. That's exactly. And if you got in trouble in school, you come home and tell your dad you got in trouble in school, and you got in trouble again.
Oh, of course you did. So that's why you never told me.
Yeah, never told me. School was great. Everything was fine. But times have changed now, and I'm not sure they've changed for the better.
No, I don't think they have either. Because like you were saying, if everything is local, when they say, local government, everything starts local and that's the most important. Well, if you stratify local, now you can go right to the neighborhood. It starts at the neighborhood. And, if more neighborhoods did what the Heights do, what the Plains do and whatnot, maybe we'd be in better shape than we are now, not only as a town, but as a country, as a state. To maintain and preserve, what you had, how you grew up, and you more or less capitalize on the good things you learn.
Right. And I think to some extent we've missed that, and it's nice to see a neighborhood or a place that keeps that tradition alive, and that's essentially what happens. You guys are keeping it alive.
And the traditions are so codified that you have the old-time mayors making sure every last tradition is followed in order at events. That it's kind of nice. You have your historian.
Yes, oh yeah.
Who I think you got a plaque last year at your
Dr. Lopes, yep.
installation. Who they go through the history every year, and you have your October dinner. The Plainsmen have their last Sunday in September dinner. The Prospect Heights Mayors Association or Association has it in October every year, and I could set a clock by the events.
No, there's no question.
Well, it makes it a community, and that's what the basic foundation is, and what we've lost that to some extent. I think. I mean, my father served in World War II, and when we came home, we lived in, I was partly raised on a farm. Then we moved to a city, and we lived in a neighborhood, and so I knew all the kids in the neighborhood. We fished, we hunted, we did all that stuff together, and I think kids to some extent of losing that exposure in our quest for the dollar.
Yes. We've
lost some basics that we need to keep, and it's nice to see an area that keeps that tradition going.
Sure.
It's important. I miss that.
It's and on top of everything else, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and a funny thing with the traditions is, they'll tell you 2 or 3 of them, and then as you approach, you're like, wait a minute. So I'm going to try to make sure that I don't take that for granted either. That we talk and get filled in, because I was kind of,
Okay, you have to throw a breakfast on your date of installation, which is Sunday, July 19th.
It's Sunday, July 19th.
You have to have a breakfast.
At Manhattan's.
Oh, is that what it is?
You're going to do Manhattan's.
It's at Manhattan's.
Now, somehow you want to talk about getting away. It used to be at people's houses.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, it's gone to fancier restaurants.
Like I was mentioning to Will, I asked him, about roughly, on the average, how many mayors, just with the mayors alone, and their spouses, how many, approximately come. He says maybe 45 to 50. So that's just in the mayors alone. I mean, if, I'm fortunate enough to have them attend.
Then you have guests.
And plus you have guests, so I mean, there's only so many, space, left available in your home. So that's why I feel as though, because don't forget, if I'm the 55th mayor, and God willing, everybody stays healthy, that numbers are going to keep growing, So.
No, but I caught a little flack from a couple of the traditionalists for having it outside of the home as well. But my whole thing was, if you had it in your house, I'd have 10 people in this room, 5 people in this room. You start putting your siblings together, and then your family, your nieces and nephews, whoever's around, you want them to come, and they want to come and celebrate it with you. It's a big deal.
I mean, I can go back. I think the 50th year when everybody was the mayor, all nationalities represented. was at Consigli Ruggiero Funeral Home.
Yes.
Out in the yard. So, I mean, that was a weird one. But,
At David's house. It
it
wasn't
was at
the
David's
funeral
house,
home.
but, no, I mean, but you get to see a little bit of the personality
Yep.
of people when they do it and who their friends are.
No,
And
and
then
they still come to your house, that very first tradition,
Now, of
and
course-
we did,
Yeah,
Paul
we
did a
did,
great
yeah.
job. We showed up, we like barraged their house, we show
Well,
up
I just like going to see you guys wear top hats. So you realize you have to wear a top hat.
Yeah,
and-
we'll inform you of that the last time we were
I
at
don't know,
Diego's
you
house.
feel like you're going to a wedding in Great Britain, you know, with the Queen, and then hold the flag on the trailer of the parade.
Yep.
Wow. Now, just out of curiosity, and it's an off-the-wall question, how many elected officials in the town of Milford have come from?
The Heights?
John Fernandez.
John Fernandez is one.
Jimmy Donlin back in the day, he was a mayor. He was a police officer, a mayor, and a selectman.
Okay.
Not just selectmen, any public.
No, I'm just trying to think out loud. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Oh.
I
boy.
don't think a lot.
no.
I mean,
Well, Al
No.
Crier is on the finance committee.
Yeah.
I think just in the last 8 or 10 years, Steve Galino works for the state inspecting ambulances, or he did, so he
Yeah.
was a public official.
Right.
So I think that a lot of, from a
The Evans
specific,
boys, both of the Evans boys,
From a
Oh, Kenny
specific
Evans.
areas.
Kenny and
is,
Joe Evans, so Joe's
right,
on the
Kenny was
zoning
School
board,
Committee and Board of Health.
and other committees,
zoning
and
ZBA.
Ken.
Yep.
Um,
So I think
That's a
a
good
lot of
question.
people, a lot of elected officials come from that, probably come from that, from a percentage-wise, relative to the geographic area.
And maybe even town meeting members too.
Yep.
Right, and the reason why is I think because there's a sense of giving back. That comes
a good
from,
point.
you know, you give back to your community, your neighborhood, your community, and your town.
well, I do know Milford has never had a selectman yet that wasn't born in the town.
Wow. See, and that, I think
Wow.
that's the other part of the
that either.
puzzle. That's the other part of the puzzle, is that it's not only that, but you give back to the community. I mean, both of you serve in public office. That's not just because you want to necessarily, it's because that's the way you were raised. That was you know, something you were exposed to.
Right.
To give back to the community.
Sure.
So I think it's
I
important.
was going to say, at least we'll know the food at your breakfast is sanitary.
That's right. We're going to have
right
the inspectors there.
You'll be-
right in
yeah,
the
right.
kitchen. We'll get a hold of Nikki.
Paul will be walking,
Nikki, yeah, there you go.
Paul will be walking around with the little thermometer, checking
We'll have
everything.
him take the Serve Safe course again.
Oh, there you go. That's it. Oh, jeez.
another interesting bit, which I'm proud of, between Paul and I, we both served on the Housing Authority together. When I got on there, Paul had been serving on there for a long time. We both served on the school committee together, and I was joking with him, hopefully we'll serve on the Board of Selectmen
There you
together.
go, maybe. We'll see.
Well,
Maybe that'll be my project.
I was going to make a joke saying, does this mean now that you're running for selectman next year?
Do you know how many people have said that, even well, when the mayors are together?
Yeah.
Does this mean Paul's?
Here's the
No, I'm
dil-
not speaking for anybody.
Here's the
I just keep
dilemma with
joking about
that.
it.
Here's the dilemma with that. Having been a selectman, he was a selectman, I was a selectman, you're currently a selectman. The good news is, it used to be they did a full lobotomy, now they have laser surgery.
Oh,
that
okay,
can be
yeah.
much more
So it's
specific.
less intrusive. Right. But the effect is
Much-
still there.
Yeah, they can take out those reasons, you know, all that
Well,
stuff.
there's always my favorite saying, and you guys will appreciate this. First, you get sworn in at the town clerk's office, then you get sworn at
Sworn at,
by
right.
the public.
Right.
That's your first time, then you just go get sworn at.
Yeah, right.
I just, you know, some days I just wonder why in God's name did I get involved in public life. You know, he's Upton, I'm Mendon, you guys are Milford. It's different, but I really envy the neighborhoods. I mean, both the Plains, and I've said it, you've heard me say it at the annual Plains event.
You're an official plainsman anyway.
I am an official
Right.
Plainsman. I was made one, I think, was it last year or the year
Last year, the
before?
year before, I thought.
The year
Yeah.
before, so 2013, the assembled Plainsmen formally voted me as an honorary. Am I an honorary Plainsman or I am a Plainsman?
You think you are one?
I am a
I think we
Plains.
just made you one.
I am a Plainsman, and Will's heard my dubious claim to the Prospect Heights is my roommate freshman year in college in the early 70s was Jose Violante, the celebrated
Okay.
soccer-style kicker from
right.
Milford. Was my roommate for one semester in college, and so my dubious tie to the Heights goes back to 1972.
Right. He kicked a 57-yard field goal.
Made Sports Illustrated
And
record.
made Sports Illustrated back in '72.
Yep.
Kidding.
Yep. And at Pheno Field, he did it.
And then, of course, I
In high
find
school,
out.
imagine that.
Wow.
I find out years later he's Al Crier's first cousin.
Yeah, you're right, because Al
So
was
it's
on
a
Mr.
very
Blaine right around the corner.
it's a very small world. Crier Circle is right around from the Heights, or Crier Circle, I should say it correctly.
Wow. You have to be careful.
It's a very small world. Well, everybody in Milliford is related to everybody, but then you find out who's from what neighborhood.
Right.
That's the key, the neighborhoods.
Now, here's a tough question. As you know, the Plainsman in October, September of 15, will be the first time they're allowing women at the banquet. And I know that before the current crew, I hate to say the word, but dies off, they'd like to see a woman be named the Woman of the Year for the Plains.
Okay.
Any plans for there to be a woman mayor of the Heights at some point in the future? It's been men only.
Yeah,
for
I mean, it's
55
pretty much a
years.
men's organization. So
Right. Any plans?
honestly, I'm not sure.
Wow.
I don't know what the future holds. It's
That's not
honestly.
politically
I mean,
correct.
I don't even find the question awkward. I just don't know.
I think they're doing
what
doing
the
it so
answer
the
is.
organization keeps going on.
Yep.
Because I think they're running out of men and
Yep.
from the Plains who are worthy of the name, and they can broaden it. But I just, thought I'd raise the issue. I know Al Crier has muttered about it now and then, about bringing women into the group, but I just wondered, any thoughts of
I would
that?
think it just like anything else, it might be just a matter of time that at some point all groups evolve. I mean, I actually like the idea of there being men's clubs and there being women's clubs and
I
things
do
like
too,
that. There's a
but-
camaraderie there. I think personally, once you bring the opposite sex into a club that's been around for so long, it's going to change the dynamic.
I know in the case of the Plainsmen, Joe D'Antonio can't do his jokes anymore if women are there.
No, that's a good example.
It's definitely men-only jokes.
Right.
You don't have that at the Heights, but I just
No. The reunion is very family-centric. and everything
everything's
like that.
even the mayor's is family-centric.
Yep.
So I just wondered.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question, because eventually that'll become politically correct. I'm sure that the Supreme Court will have that case before. They'll come up with a decision that says you have to have women.
We'll have
But look, I drive by them all the time on my way to work. I pass a woman's gym.
Yeah.
Beautiful gym, up in, looking over the
You know-
Topley. But you know what? I think that's great, because a lot of, whether women want to go work out, they don't want to be bothered with men.
Guys
they just want to
ogling,
go,
yeah.
yep, just like something like
That-
that.
and
So
they,
I would certainly hope things like that don't change.
Yeah, they have pole dancing schools around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about auditing one of those.
I actually walked right by one of those.
Oh,
too
the one
at
in
work.
Copley Square in Boston.
Oh, wow. Have you thought about auditing that?
Yeah.
Now we're going off track.
Okay, sorry.
My wife is going to see this eventually, so no,
No,
I
I
would never,
never
do
do
that.
Unless some of them want to join the.
Ah, there you go.
Right, well, I mean, then you got to keep an open mind.
No, but I think eventually all organizations, I know that some of the Lions clubs have gone through that, Rotary's gone through that, some of the philanthropic organizations have gone through that.
But I know both you guys have told me it felt like an honor to be selected as the mayor, and a really important tradition. How do you go about well, I don't think both of you have been. Well, you obviously haven't been a mayor yet, but
No.
you've only been for a year. I was going to ask the process of selecting a mayor. Do you know how they do that?
I do.
Other than nationality
because I
changes
was the
every year.
outgoing mayor, I actually got to sit with I didn't have a vote
Yes.
at that point, but I got to sit with the Italian delegation as I watched them go through it. Now, specifically, I am sworn to secrecy, but
Oh,
it's
no.
very conversational, and people bring up people's names and they talk about their attributes. It was actually, very, a very pleasant experience to watch, and people. You start with a few names, people from obviously the geographical area, and then when people's name comes up, you start talking about their attributes and if they would even be interested in it. So once they make that final cut, obviously the first thing, and I would imagine that someone reached out to you eventually and said, "Would you be willing to do it?" Because
Right.
a lot of people in the past, I guess just based on hearing conversations, some people don't, depending where they are in life, maybe don't have time to do it, because it is a lot of time,
Time consuming.
but it's fun.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
you managed to dovetail a campaign for selectman with being mayor, and then
Wow.
a couple of 3 months as being a selectman with being mayor. So if that didn't overload you,
No, but I've had a lot of help. I've had a lot of help, and I was shy at the beginning about asking for it, and then I was just I needed help. But even like my projects, because we came off with some, because we did that beautiful monument up there.
Yeah, you're
We're kind of
basically
doing, Steve Galino is the one who actually was really good with, like, well, let's try to do, he was the mayor of mini projects, so he did a lot of small stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're fixing
but
the
they're
broken
ongoing.
boards on the park benches in
Yep,
the
so I
in the
was able
park.
to research, and we added, Paul Sharp's big project was getting all the war monument updated. There were 3 more names. We researched them, we did it. I was able to work with Tommy Delfonte and get those names engraved.
Right.
We were, my name on the mayor's monument, as well as the 2 honoraries during my year, that was supposed to be a year beyond. We worked, we got it done, we got those 3 names on, especially because, like, Alan Alves' brother, I wanted to make sure, we wanted to make sure he got to see his name,
right.
and then he passed away shortly
remember that.
thereafter. So that meant a
Yeah.
lot to us
Yes.
within the group. So
That was great.
And now the final thing will be getting all those benches fixed.
From the storm damages here.
Yeah, they were pretty beat up from the winter, and when we make that corner, and Paul gets out and does the wreath and everything at the war monument, a lot of the ladies especially come and they sit and they wait for you, and we want to make sure that
Oh, that's
the
good.
benches are in perfect condition and they're worthy. So
And you haven't figured out what you want to do yet?
Not yet, no. Like I said, I was going to consult with Will and the other senior members and see what's needed and what could possibly be done, you know, where I could do it and with their help and be successful with it. So something that we're going to work on. One of the things I mentioned to Will and a few of the members was not only a project, a physical construction type project that could probably be needed to enhance the neighborhood, but when Will and I was on the Housing Authority together, what we did is we started with Sam Bonasaro, it was called a self-sufficiency program, where more or less we provided the tools to make our tenants that are young and healthy and not, you know, the non-elderly and non-disabled that were on our programs for public housing to be self-sufficient by providing, let's say, little classes on how to ace a job interview, how to, you know, write a proper resume, maybe basic accounting, basic computer skills and whatnot to make them out, you know, like a marketable type of applicant now, you know what I mean? So more or less get them off to be self-sufficient and get off housing. And we tried that a few times, and it wasn't successful, I guess, because whatever the government was offering them or what they were taking probably wasn't as much as what they could make on their own, so the incentive wasn't there. But more or less something where, you know, again, Will was on school committee, I was on school committee, Kenny Evans was, several other individuals like we named are involved with town politics and stuff. Maybe, you know, work up a partnership and make it like a legacy, you know, where the Heights Association, you know, meet with, you know, partner with the school department and come up with some sort of educational classes for people who need these.
that's great.
So they can better themselves. Again, it's just something that could follow us for years and years and years and say, you know, as a result of this, so-and-so became a registered nurse or a teacher or whatever because of the Prospect Heights Association.
Right.
That sounds great. Well, I heard a little buzzer going off, which means running out of time. Let's give the Portuguese Festival a plug. It's Saturday, July 18th and Sunday, July 19th. This show is actually airing the week before.
Oh, great.
So, and then on Sunday the 19th, we have your outgoing mayor ceremonies and your incoming mayor ceremonies for those who want to watch. And of course, the parade is, I think, at 2 in the afternoon on Sunday. And beautiful parade celebrating Portuguese culture. That's on 2 o'clock Sunday the 19th. Which the mayor's lead, and comes down Main Street from Sacred Heart and up Water Street to Prospect Heights. Guys, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for having us.